Testing, testing. If you're in chat, let me know if you can hear this. Oh boy. And you should have the screen being recursive, pretty wild like that. Hello. I hope some of my students are here today. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes just to let people hop on because we know not everyone arrives on time. All right. Oh, I really like how this, there's a delay between that. So that kind of shows you that real time between how I'm speaking in my apartment, in my room, has a delay of a few seconds between this and the broadcast. Okay, so I'm going to start at 11:05. It's 11:04 right now. It's just so funny to watch the domino effect go on. All right. Yeah, if you missed the first message, if you're watching this, then don't forget to get a piece of paper or a notepad or something and a pen to write with. Okay, seems like there's people hopping on. Yeah, maybe I'll give another minute or so. But yeah, please get a writing utensil and a notepad or a notebook, journal, whatever. Yeah, I'm talking. I'm talking about puppies, baby dogs, corgis, German shepherds. Okay, cool. All right. Yes, if you're here and you're part of the class, um, let me know that you're one of my classmates because I don't know who's from my class and who's not from my class. Um, because this is public. All right, it's 11:05. Thank you, Studer5642. Okay, so before I start the actual lecture, I do want to go over this real quick. Um, so this is my class, Art 102 Understanding Art at Lynn Benton Community College in. I'm in Eugene, Oregon, but the actual campus is in Albany, Oregon. So this is for my class. My students are doing this for college credits. If you're not part of this class, if I invited you through email or social media or whatever, yeah, realize this is a real class. You're free to submit your thoughts to the chat box on the right hand side. And obviously, please be respectful. This is a class. If there's any disruptions, you're going to get kicked out. Um, all that kind of stuff, you know. So, yeah, please be respectful. All right. Um, oh, dear Kathy Don Don, hi. Hello. That's funny. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna start. All right, so I'm going to the slideshow, and I'm going to make it full screen. Okay. You know what? I can't see what's going on. Um. Okay. Let me do something real quick. Let me mute this. Okay. So I won't be able to see the chat actually. Um, is that a problem? Nah. We'll be fine. Oops, not share. So I don't have. I guess next time I could install Twitch on my phone. Okay. And I'm kind of just buying time right now in case more people show up. All right, so welcome to 102 Understanding Art. My name is Daniel. You could call me Daniel. You could call me whatever you want as long as it's respectful. My my tia Kathy Dondon is here, apparently, and I always say this, but you can. The nickname I have with her is Danny Dondon, which means my love of donuts, Dondon. That's okay if you call me that. But my pronouns are he, they. I gave an intro to the class, but um, I'll talk a little bit more about myself later. So, week one, understanding art. I posted a link to this slideshow in the chat, um, so go ahead and find that. I'll post it again just to make sure that y'all have it if you want to follow along. All right. So, what is this class? I already got messages on Discord saying not being sure about being good at art in this class, but that's not what this is about. So this class is the equivalent of an art appreciation class or intro to art class. I've taken intro to art classes. That's what they're usually called. But understanding art's mostly a lecture class, so you don't have to worry about being good at art. And this is a class that's appropriate for people who've, I wouldn't say never done art, because you've done art in your lifetime. Like, it's guaranteed if you in college, at some point your teachers in school made you do art. So this is appropriate for any level, even experts, because I'm me and I'm going to bring some stuff to this class that other teachers might not. And if you took this class with someone else, you would be learning something different than what other people are learning. So just to note that I have images on almost all the slides, and they usually don't have anything to do with the slides. It's just that it would be boring if it was just words on the slide. So it gives you something to look at. But also, if you have a piece of paper and a pen, then you should be doodling. Doodling has been studied to show that it's effective in helping you remember what's going on better. It's activating a different part of your brain that keeps you more active. All right, so this class is aiding you in learning how to see art better, or rather, to judge it, to question it, to think about it, rather than just look at it on the surface and determine it like that. Because as this first paragraph says, anybody who can perceive art can judge it without learning about it. Like the example to the right, you can have immediate reaction to it. But this class is about teaching you how to look deeply at it, to understand specific parts about this piece of art, how to think about the elements and principles of art and design, and how that's relevant to every aspect of life, pretty much. This is another topic altogether, but like every aspect of life has design in it. And people think about art as in these paintings or drawings or sculptures or whatever, but I'm going to talk about how it's much more than that, and how those definitions of art being paintings and sculptures are very limited. And hopefully this class will open your eyes up a bit if you're not already opened up. Okay. And this is important. So yeah, not only will we be able to look at art more critically, but you'll want to question it more. Like, wonder, why does this exist? What's the purpose of this? Stuff like that. And I think that's important, to question things. Okay, now let's talk about you. So this is from an account called SlideShare Gems. And it has really funny slides. I don't know where they're culled from, but yeah, I just thought this slide was really funny. Yeah, so not everything is going to be these beautiful paintings. I can talk about like slideshow things, like these have design elements in them, right? Anyway, so back on topic. So why are you in this class? Think about this. I know, honestly, and this is fine that a lot of you have to do this class because it's part of your requirement. And then some of you might willingly want to take this class. And honestly, either one's fine with me. If you're not interested in art at all, hopefully this will make you a little bit more interested, but I can't guarantee anything because I'm not you and you don't have the same interests that I do. So, yeah, if you have no interest in art really, I still think you'll get stuff out of this because I'm not just talking about um, dead white dudes this entire time. I'm going to bring up a lot of contemporary art and things that are going on, like comics and video games, not just whatever's hanging in the Louvre. So, yeah, everyone is valid here. Okay, so what's your experience with art? So, think about how you've experienced art in the past. Like, everyone is valid here. So whether you have a PhD in art history, which I don't know why you'd be taking this class, probably for some ridiculous requirements, or if you've never been to an art show in your life, if you play video games, like this is a screenshot from a map from Quake, which is a game from '96. So yeah, either any of these options, like no matter where you are in the spectrum, you're fine. You're gonna survive okay, and unless you don't do any of the work or don't show up, then you won't do fine. Um, all right, and subject position. So this is more important than you would think. How you grew up, who you are as a person, your identity, that really factors heavily into how you're going to perceive art. Because if you grew up in a middle class family, then you're more likely to see art than someone who grew up in a lower class family, or if you're homeless. Because if you have the leisure time to not have to worry about where your next meal is coming from, then you have that leisure time to look at art and study it, right? But if you don't have those opportunities where you're not sure where you're going to stay at night or where your next meal is coming from, you're less likely to stop into an art gallery and see what's inside. And so that plays a big part in how you grew up or how you perceive art. It's how you grew up and where you are now. And I'm going to talk about myself and how this has influenced how I'm going to teach this class. So I'm middle class. I come from a middle class family, extended family. So I obviously did not have to worry about, um, where I'm going to sleep at night. I had a roof over my head my entire life. I'm Chicano, which means someone of Mexican descent born in America. There is confusing terms like Latinx, Chicano, mestizo, stuff like that. I think Chicano is the most like literal accurate one. But yeah, I'm a person of color, so the way I see things is influenced by not being a white person or not being a black person, for example, because of how I grew up. I have these values established um, because of my upbringing that might have been different than someone from the Midwest, a white person from the Midwest growing up in suburbia, or a black person growing up in New York City, right, in money making Manhattan. Um, so yeah, I think that's definitely a huge contrast of your race and your ethnicity and those types of things because who you grew up around and the values of those aspects of that culture will definitely influence who you are. I'm a cis male, so I grew up obviously as a male, and this ties into being gay and being queer as well because I'm a male and I'm expected to be sort of masculine and like masculine things. But me being an artist my entire life, that made me kind of wimpy and kind of gay, like in a negative sense. And that definitely affected who I am today and how I've been perceived my entire life. Obviously, right now, I'm proud of being gay and queer, and I definitely make that known for visibility purposes. I want people to be seen. And so also that makes me more able to question heteronormativity and the standard of what is considered normal, because I wasn't considered normal because I hated playing sports growing up. I was more into expression and yeah, coming from a very sports heavy family, I felt kind of bullied in a sense. Like I wasn't as manly as others, so I had to play sports or whatever to be manly, and that definitely affects me. So in good ways and bad ways, like that's another topic altogether, um, which I might bring up at some point. I'm 33, so I'm a millennial. That obviously affects how I grow. Like what time I grew up in. I wasn't able to easily see things on the internet as y'all were, assuming y'all are. I should say younger than me because there are people who are older than me on the stream. So yeah, I was able to go to museums and stuff, but I wasn't able to see things on the internet till the early 2000s. And yeah, all right, radical leftist. So I try not to align myself with specific politics, but in general, I'm a leftist in the sense that I believe in giving people chances, loving people, empathy, compassion, or whatever. I'm not a Democrat. I'm independent. I'm independent of any political party. So everything comes from a sense of who I am and what I believe is best for this planet or whatever. So I'm obviously not going to talk about neo-Nazi bullshit. That is like white supremacy, positions of hate. No, I'm not giving people who like artists who are those. I'm not going to give them a platform because they don't deserve it. Um, because I hate that shit. Okay. Short attention spans. So this is a big one, and this is very common. Um, there's a video that I'm going to link to at the end, but essentially a lot of people don't look at artworks for more than 30 seconds, and I'm guilty of that. I mean, just the way that a lot of us grew up on TV and internet and stuff like that, we're kind of used to things flashing by quickly, right? So I have a hard time like just sitting in front of a painting for a long time. Like when I was in the Louvre back in 2008, before I studied art, I just kind of walked through and was, I wouldn't say bored by most of it, but I was nonplussed about most of it. There's a couple paintings, which I'll talk about later in this term, that really blew me away. But yeah, the Mona Lisa was just, it was crowded, whatever, like hard to look at. And my mom wanted me to take a picture, so otherwise I wouldn't have cared. Um, but yeah, that all goes back to the fact that these paintings were made at a different time period. Paintings are sort of meant to, a lot of paintings are meant to engage you in a longer time period than an Instagram photo is. So this sort of, yeah, this definitely loops back to my age of how I grew up watching a lot of TV, and now I'm on the internet all the time, so I have a short attention span. And you know what? That's fine and that's valid. Um, I can go deep whenever I want to. Okay. And visuals over meanings. So I'm the type of person where if it doesn't look good, I probably won't care about it. Like I do personally think this is really cute and I love this genuinely. A worm driving a choo choo. It makes me happy, right? Um, and in general, when it comes to art, if it doesn't look good, yeah, again, I probably won't care about going deeper. Um, which is very much a flaw. However, sometimes some works pull me in where I want to know the meaning. Another good example of this is music. Like I don't care about lyrics most of the time. I don't really care about most of the meaning, um, unless there's something. I mostly care about the instrumentation, but sometimes something grabs me where I want to delve deeper into it. Right? So if let's say you're listening to the radio and you hear a song and it's good, but then something really resonates with you, then you really want to look into it further and then listen to it and dissect the lyrics. To me, art's like that as well. Um, Most of the time, I don't really care about what's beyond the surface because I'm a primarily visual creature, and a lot of us are. Um, Nowadays, that's how we're really influenced by culture. So a lot of us put visuals first. And that's not necessarily a shallow thing. I might joke about myself being shallow by saying I just like the surface or whatever. But that's a valid reading, and if that's what appeals to you, that's fine. A lot of this is very, very subjective, and you don't. There's no one correct way to enjoy art. Okay, and this last point, cynical contemporary art market. So I'm going to talk about this a lot more, but essentially, I have a master's in art, and within the master's degree, I learned a lot about like gallery representation and making connections in the art world and stuff like that. And a lot of it's just so based on networking and brown nosing and stuff like that, and money and privilege. It just kind of sucks to me. Like, I just want to make cool stuff and share it with people. And that's my approach to art. And so I'm not really a fan of trying, like, being a gallery artist. That's no longer a goal of mine. I'd rather just make comics and furry art and stuff like that. Stuff that anyone can enjoy for free, rather than making a huge painting that costs thousands of dollars. Now that's a valid way to make art, but that's just not my thing at all. So I hopefully am not turning people off of art. That's just one specific part of art that exists that I'm not really a part of anymore. I'm part of a more like fun, playful, accessible part of art. Okay, this should be obvious. Yeah, no matter what, you're valid here. Unless you have white supremacist views or bigotry in you, then that's not valid because that's hateful and oppressive, and it's not the same as loving. So that's another topic altogether that I could go on, but I won't. So what is art? All right. So without looking it up on your piece of paper, what do you think the definition of art is? I'll give you until I get finish this swig of tea. All right. So obviously, I can't really ask anyone because there's a ton of you. I would normally have you raise your hand. But yeah, just whatever you have in mind. That's valid. So according to this class, what is the definition of art? I don't know. Honestly, like, is this art? Is this not art? What counts as art? I think it's something interesting to think about sometimes, but honestly, the definition of art, who knows? It depends on each individual from person to person. Um, some people put more weight into this answer, like art historians. And even though I'm teaching an art appreciation class, I don't really care about the definition of art. Um, I don't know. I know I make art. I draw. I make comics. Um, is making terrariums art? Maybe, I don't know. I also don't care. I'm just happy making stuff. Um, but if you're someone who's more interested in definitions of art, we could definitely talk about that more. But as far as this class is concerned, we probably will talk more about this. But I'm not gonna make a specific definition of what art is because that's something that changes between cultures, between people, as well as between time. So we'll learn a lot about different aspects of art and what we call art that maybe a few thousand years ago wasn't considered art, just more of a utility. So art's a very strange thing, and that's one reason why I love it so much. But for people who like black and white definitions, it's a little challenging, and it's something you just got to get used to. And for this class, let your barriers down. But after this class, go back to your old definitions, and that's fine. I just want to open you up to more possibilities. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna talk about things that are obviously considered art, like drawings and paintings and stuff. But we're gonna talk about outliers that aren't always considered art or that are questioned as art. Um, and yeah, and again, it depends on the person as well as the textbook. So one reason we don't have a textbook for this class is because it presents one point of view, and I really disagree with that. I pull my information from Wikipedia and its sources, and Twitter, and different art history books and websites and videos. And I think that's really more important than getting something from one single source because they have a biased view. Again, going back to subject position, like most likely these people writing art history books are straight and white and middle class and American. And so there's a lot of bias there. And to be completely fair, most sources I pull from are probably the same just because those types of people are um, given platforms more often than marginalized people. Um, so, am I perpetuating this cis white straight male thing? Yeah. But do I want to? No. Um, I'm gonna do my best to diversify voices as much as I can, but I'm not always conscious of who the author is of what I'm sharing, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, there's always gonna be some sort of bias. Like again, back to the subject position. Um, I'm going to teach you things other teachers aren't going to because not every teacher is a furry. Not every teacher likes comics, right? Or plays as many video games as I do. Um, so yeah, like you're gonna get that you're my own perspective of this. For example, this is from Brutal EXE, which is a how do I explain this in non-video game terms? So a program sets up um, generates these fake buildings like architecture and then makes a screenshot of this. And I guess it's every hour, every couple hours or so, it generates a new building or set of buildings. They're really just squares or rectangles in interesting, put together in interesting ways. Um, is that art if a computer makes it and it's not digital and it's not like made by hand, but the person made this program? So um, yeah, it's a very interesting thing. So there's some artwork we won't be looking at just because of the fact that other departments cover this too. I'm only trained in visual art, but if I want to, I could talk about these things, but I don't know much about them because, like, I have a degree in visual art. I don't have a degree in film or poetry or whatever. Um, so you'll have to go to those other classes where people with the right credentials can teach you about that kind of stuff. All right, so an important question is what do you personally want from this class? So I'll give you 69 seconds to write down what you want from this class. And let me put on my timer. Uh, so it's 1 minute and 9 seconds. All right. So 1 minute left. 30 seconds left. I'm going to check the chat. See if anyone said anything. Okay. Wish I could react to that saying cool. All right. Time's up. Um, you don't necessarily have to have a nice answer. I just want to get you to think for 69 seconds. All right. Yeah, so that was an exercise for yourself to self-reflect. And that's kind of important how you approach this class because everyone, I mean, going back to the fact that some of you just have to take this class, maybe some of you are excited, maybe some of you have to and are bummed that you have to learn about art. But either way, you're going to learn about art. So, what's cool about art is it has many different purposes. It's not just there to look pretty. There's a lot of different aspects of art that they're complex. Some of them might only have one purpose. That's kind of hard to say. I don't know if that's completely true. But also, you can like art for more than one reason. Um, like, this is a screenshot from a Doom custom level. I think it's pretty cool. I love that green sky. I mean, there's a lot of brown. It's not my favorite thing on this planet, but it's kind of cool. Like, I may not actually play this level, but I think it's cool that people can express themselves like that. So the goal of this, is, I guess, would be to look pretty and to provide a custom level for people to play. I make Quake maps, not Doom maps, so I'm more into Quake. Okay. So yeah, I love this pixel art. I think it's really cool. Yeah, so this class work explore a lot of different aspects of art. Again, different perspectives from people with different subject positions, and different reasons that art exists. And again, what I show you will be influenced by my tastes, pretty much. So, um, all the images I got that were on these slides, they were just things that I saw that I enjoyed within the last 24 hours. That doesn't include like the thousands of other things that I've really loved. So yeah, a lot of the things you'll see is based on what I like to see, um, and a lot of that will be. Some of you may agree with like what looks good and what doesn't, and that's great. But you will get the bias from me. I tend not to show things I don't like because I'm the type of person, if I don't like it, I just don't want to deal with it ever. Okay? So, this is the most important thing in this class. You'll only get out of art what you put into it. And I will talk about this over and over and over again. So, what this means is a good example is abstract painting and abstract art in general. So it's one of the most contentious things I've ever taught, just abstract art, because some people want to dive deep into this and they could stare at a piece of abstract art for hours. I really, really, really love abstract art because it makes me think of like if it looks good, I should say, because it can make me get lost in like what are these patterns, like what's going on, or just enjoy the colors and how it makes my brain feel good. And then some people just want to uh, see something represented in the real world in the painting. Like they want to see people in the landscape. They want to have a literal meaning. And so abstract art, they don't want to put the effort into thinking about abstract art or what it could be. But in this class, I really want you to go deeper. I talked about myself being shallow and not going deeper, but I do stretch my limits for this class. I mean, I do anyways because I was trained in it and how to look at art, but I'm not going to talk about dead white French philosophers because that shit's boring, and doesn't apply to most things. So, again, when you're in this class, you really want to push the boundaries of how you look at art and how you think about art, um, and really dive deeper. Otherwise, you're just kind of cruising in this class, and that sucks for everyone. So, yeah, this is more about enriching your life than just getting a grade, obviously. Um, okay, so yeah, this is a video linked in the slideshow that kind of sums up this class in about 13 minutes. Um, but I'm obviously going into more detail, more nuance. But this is a really good video, and I probably will share a lot of videos from this channel called the Art Assignment because it's the best art channel. Um, okay, so this is just a comic that I couldn't resist not putting in. And again, I think it's important to recognize comics and like illustration furry art as equally valid as Picasso paintings and stuff. It's cheaper and it has less cultural value, but who cares? As long as you enjoy it, that's what matters. Um, all right, so uh, unless there's any questions in the chat, that's pretty much all I have for today. Um, if you're someone who's in the class, then I'll be on Discord for a while. I might have to clean up my room a little bit. I had to move stuff around to get this background set up. If you're not part of this class, thanks for joining. And now you kind of know what this is about. Um, actually, it's funny. When I first taught this class, I didn't know what this class was really about until 2 or 3 days before the class started, which was kind of nerve-wracking because I wasn't given that much information. It was nobody's fault. It was just circumstances. But yeah, this is kind of what this class is about, learning how to look at art, think about art, and think about how you as a person are seeing art from your own individual perspective. So again, thank you so much, and I will hopefully see you next week. Unless you didn't like this, then I'm gonna go cry. Just kidding. Love you. Toodles. Bye bye.